live. Hopefully you guys can hear me, and I'm not blasting your ears out because everything is kind of
They're
weird
fine.
today. You're fine?
They're
Fine.
fine. They're fine.
It's okay. It's okay. We're doing it
No,
live.
we're only it's only like 6 minutes of us like getting prepped and putting it on. Look, I know everyone is happy that we were able to bounce the signals off of Triforia and blah 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 and yada yada and bounce off of Eltar to show up here.
I
So
had
they're
to
happy.
bypass all of those encryptions.
Oh
I don't.
God, talk about like some horrible key cards, you know? So glad we're here.
We are here. We are one man, woman, person down. Elle could not join us tonight, so it is just me and Daniel. You can tell by the mysterious hole in the middle of the screen there. We are talking today about episodes 16 and 17 of Power Rangers in Space. That is Darkonda's something or other.
Like return.
Flashes of Darkonda and the Rangers Mega Voyage.
Yes.
I liked one of these episodes and half of the
other. Okay. The common consensus, because we at least did watch it with Elle before she had to run off to Eltar. We did watch it, and all of us said the same thing. The first episode, episode 16, Flashes of Darkonda, was great. I mean, or at least, hey, it was better than episode 17.
Jezzer, if you want to call in, I can send you the link and I can patch you in here via Skype. Just let me know.
Come on, Jezzer, bring it, bring it, bring it!
These episodes were the second half of the Darkonda quadrilogy. These last 4 episodes were all about Darkonda.
Yeah. 4 episodes all about him. So, I mean, that was the thing that was like, oh, wow. So I love that. That was like a cool part.
Yeah, so Daniel, you want to give us a rundown of what the actual storylines here were? Or, well, the continuing storylines, I should say.
We got a lot going on this episode. This episode was pretty interesting because what happened for us was we got a lot of backstory. Exposition City. We start off with, of course, was it our Red Ranger kind of, researching memories and, like, I guess, recorded footage that he just put together of his sister's disappearance. Put all of it together and found out that it was Darkonda that kidnapped his sister. So with that, he wanted to get a lot of other information and key cards. So that became one of the biggest things that we were all concerned with or worried about, the key cards. What's going on with the key cards? What's on them? And why are they even important? Apparently, they're something that was connected to Zordon. Zordon had them, and somehow they ended up in this guy's hand because he stole them on his raid of some planet. So he had the key cards, and then immediately we get to see a lot more of the world. And it was pretty cool because we got a saloon. We got a whole old Western world.
So I want to ask you about that because you're LA native, right? Like you grew up in this area. So are you familiar with an area up in Acton called Polsa Rosa?
No.
So this must have been like 7 years ago. Whenever it was that they were shooting the Lone Ranger, they used that area as part of the sets. We shot some of the like the special effects scenes up there, but it's like this old West town movie studio.
Oh, geez, I didn't know that.
So I'm wondering if that's where they shot that section. I couldn't find it anywhere, but it looked really familiar. So I'm going to guess that because at this point they were still shooting in LA, right? They hadn't moved to New Zealand yet.
Yeah, they were like doing Irwindale and all that stuff. Yet they still were here.
Yeah. So I'm going to guess that was up there that they were shooting. That's like up past like the Santa Anita Raceway.
Dang. what we should have done, we should have hit up Roger real quick. And be like, hey, do you remember the? Well, because wait, he wasn't in any of the Wild Wild West scenes or
No,
whatever. Why did I
yeah,
call it
but
Wild Wild
he
West?
might know. I mean, we can reach out to Christopher Kim and Lee easy enough and ask him.
Oh
That,
yeah,
that was
that's
just, that was just something that that kind of popped into my head while I was watching it. I was like, I think I've been here before.
oh man, it probably was. I wouldn't be shocked if it was one of those places where it's like, oh yeah, I mean, we started to
I
find out
because
so many locations that were.
I was shocked because like at first I thought that was all Japanese footage, until Andros took his hood down and he actually saw his face. I assumed that was all Japanese footage because everyone was in costume. You didn't see anyone's faces.
Oh,
It
no
was
way, no way.
and then they
Because
showed it. I was like, oh no, that's American.
no, yeah, I knew it was American immediately because some of the monsters. They had that monster with the white dreads and the
Yeah, yeah,
glass,
yeah.
the monkey with the white dreads and the shades, and I was like, oh, this is America because I don't think that monster exists in that form fully. So I was like, oh, this is American, and immediately I was like, okay, I know what's going on here. I already get it, and I was shocked and surprised, and honestly, kind of impressed at the fact that they went and did this whole thing because I was like, whoa, that means Judd, aka Chip Lynn, went ahead and really hunkered down and wrote this whole part, everything that happened. So it was like, wow, you guys are
Yeah,
really
yeah,
getting
yeah.
deep and going for it.
I was really impressed with the amount of American content that was in this, as opposed to just assorted fighting scenes with voiceovers.
Well, oh, you mean just pretty much paint by numbers the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
they usually
exactly.
do. Yeah, I was shocked, like, yo, they're actually putting a little bit of work into this and really trying to build something where they weren't before. But also, we have to remember, which we have to remember every time we're impressed by anything that happens in this season, is that they thought this was the last season.
That's true. That's true.
So it's like, man, it just kind of sucks where it's like, here goes this dedication, here goes this, let's take a chance, here goes we're really going to build something, but it's only because you guys thought it was the last one. When your back's against the wall, you guys really come here to work. So all the other times when your back isn't against the wall, we kind of see it, and
So
that makes Power Rangers for me sometimes upsetting.
I'm gonna go to the chat for a second. Honorable Honorable Kung Lao says that he can tell
Oh,
the difference because the suits are shiny.
oh, good one, good one. Okay, okay. I didn't think.
I wasn't even paying attention to that, but I guess I'm gonna have to go back and look now to see if I can differentiate
Figure
between the
out. Yeah,
two.
like, oh, right. For me, it's just the camera work looks darker when it's Sentai.
Am I boring you?
When it's I know, huh? Oh, boy, calm down. All right. When it's Sentai, it looks darker. It looks
Right,
like
right. Yeah,
it's not really. It's like lit far more cinematically. It looks like,
right.
oh, it's dark and brooding. And then when it's not that, you're like, happy, shiny, and bright, American.
So this is on topic but off topic. I was just having a conversation the other day with Tatiana because we're watching Vagrant Queen on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh,
It's like it's one of their new shows. It's 2 episodes in now, and it's Canadian. Uh,
yeah.
and I can always tell when I'm watching a sci-fi show whether it's a Canadian produced show or whether it's an American produced show.
How?
I don't know how to explain it, but like if you watch shows like Continuum or
Oh,
Star
yeah,
or
that was the.
like Stargate SG-1 or Dark
Mhm.
Matter or Lost Girl, any of these like Sci-Fi Channel original shows, even the BBC America show Orphan Black,
Oh,
like you watch those and they all have a very distinct feel to them that while like all the shows are different and they have a different tone, they all feel Canadian for lack of a
Canadian.
better words. Whereas like if you watch like American sci-fi shows, like now like if you watch what's on now like Manifest or Emergence or like Lost back in the day, like all of those shows they don't have that same Canadian feeling to them.
Canadian feel like that's. I wonder if they had a Canadian production company that let's say Hasbro outsourced to do a season of Power Rangers.
If
How
I would be able to tell that it was.
yeah. Well, if you'd be able to tell, but also how much better would the show be? Because those Canadian shows have ridiculous budgets, man.
Well, it's interesting. Some of them do and some of them don't. But even the
Mm-hmm.
ones that don't have big budgets, they still look good. Like they're like I don't know how they produce things up there exactly, but they've found a way to make low budget shows that look like they're medium to high budget shows, or even medium budget shows to high budget shows, like Sanctuary back in the day. That was a show with one of the lead, Amanda Tapping from Stargate SG-1. It was almost all green screen. Like
Mm.
there were very few sets in it, but it looked really good. And this new show, Vagrant Queen, looks very good as well. But it kind of has that tone where it's like, I don't know what the budget was for this,
It's questionable, but
but it looks good. Supernatural is another one. That's a very Canadian show
oh yeah. See, but it's different. It's Canadian with
with
well,
American
no,
actors.
yeah, American
Well,
actors, sure,
half American actors, but like all the CW shows are shot in Canadian, or shot in Canadian, shot in
I
Canada.
wonder, I wonder how that is. Like they're like, all right, hey, let's take this camera. All
but
right, this is gonna be a good one.
but those are also all like Greg Berlanti shows, and they all also have their own distinct. Well, Supernatural isn't a Greg Berlanti show, but all those DC CW shows, they all have their own like feel to them too.
Riverdale and Sabrina also.
Yeah. Honorable Kung Lao chiming in here again. Arrow and Stargate both use Canadian forest locations. There was an Arrow episode flashback in a New Zealand forest, and he's like, "Nope, that's Canada."
Oh wow,
And
really?
yeah. No, it's true. Like Stargate, like all of their planets were just like different forested areas in Canada.
In Canada.
Yeah, they're like, oh, here, this is a forest planet. This is a city on a different planet, but it looks like Vancouver.
Oh jeez. You're like, oh, this is so different. But oh, you know what? Freaking Westworld. They have a scene where wherever they're saying their place is for
Is that San
whatever that
Francisco?
company is. No. They're filming in Spain at an
Oh
art
yeah. Oh
like a
yeah. That was supposed to be in San
that's
Francisco.
completely futuristic.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. Speaking of Westworld,
Oh yeah.
since you brought that up, I'm starting something new this week with you guys. Based on the content from the episodes that we're watching, I'm going to start uh, suggesting sci-fi movies or sci-fi TV shows that kind of play into either the themes or the setting or various other aspects of the show. So for today, it felt very the saloon scene felt very much like a cross between Westworld and the Mos Eisley Cantina from Star Wars. So I'm sure everyone
Oh,
has seen Star Wars. So while I would always suggest that, my suggestion for this episode is going to be the actual Westworld movie from 1972, and you can follow that up with Future World, even though Future World is a much different film than Westworld was. Same, it's kind of like Westworld season 3 is going in completely different direction than season 1 and 2. Future World is kind of where we're at now in the series. So if you guys haven't seen Westworld, it's future time. It's basically like an amusement park of the future where people can go and they spend like obscene amounts of money to do literally anything they want. If you want to be like a ruthless murderer, you can be a murderer. If you want to be just like a saloon owner, you can own a saloon. It's basically it's all up to you. It's live action role playing in an extremely realistic setting.
nice. That's the best way.
You've seen it, right?
Oh, me? Yes, I've seen the original film. I've seen Future World, and I'm definitely watching the series right now. And I love how you did point out also the Mos Eisley Cantina, because yeah, that's exactly it. Mos
What?
Eisley Cantina. Here we are with like almost every kind of whatever species we can think of from space, all there in this like kind of bar, and it's a seedy place where bad people or evil villains, if you want to say, are, and that's exactly what we have here with this episode of Space, where it's like there we are. All these villains that we've seen from time and time again are all there at the same place. That was a good catch.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was almost like the first episode from this season where they're all up on the moon with who's it David Tox is hosting that party, and all the
Yeah.
monsters are there, and now like it's for me this episode, honestly, it really kind of expanded the world of Power Rangers,
Uh-huh.
because like I mean, previous episodes in the season we've seen different planets, but this is the first time I think where we've actually seen like real interaction with different beings on the planets outside of just the Power Rangers
Yeah.
themselves.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, the first episode, this Shades of Darkana, whatever it is,
Flashes of Darkonda.
Flashes of Darkonda was so good. We got so much information, and it really was letting us know. Like immediately, I knew we were gonna get it was a two-parter because
Yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah.
like
Well, it was a
this
four-parter.
much. Well, yeah, true, but this much exposition, I was like, oh, they are front loading us with so much. Something is going to happen, and sure enough, it does. But this episode was so good. Like you said, world building. It's something we don't get with Power Rangers. We usually don't get world building. What they usually do is kind of here's something, here's a treat for you, and we'll talk about it way later. This episode was like, here's something that we addressed from before, and we're giving you more info on it. And on top of that, we're going to address it even further in the episode. And it
That's
was like, that
that
was great.
yeah, I mean that's the benefit of having more original footage in the episodes, is that they can do a lot more with it. Reusing the Japanese footage, it's almost like people are they're talking about Star Wars in the chat now, but like using Star Wars as a reference in the Rise of Skywalker, it felt like a lot of the scenes that they shot with Princess Leia, or now General Leia, uh, were shot based on the content that they had shot previously with her. Like they were like, okay, these are the lines she has. These are what we have to work with. We now need to write new scenes that fit into this movie, but based around
Yeah.
what she's already said. And that's the same thing that they've been stuck with in Power Rangers. Like obviously with voiceovers, they can pretty much do whatever they want, but they're still stuck with whatever's on the screen and happening on the screen for them to use. So it's
Yeah.
nice. It's nice now to see them like really dig into new, fresh ideas and content.
And that's the great thing about it. It's like it just it breathes new life into something that I kind of already thought, meh, it's done. It's a waste. It's gonna be again paint by numbers. Here goes another dumb episode. Like, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy maybe small portions, but not the entire episode. Or
Right.
I'm gonna enjoy some parts of it, but I'm gonna wish that it was better. This was like, oh, there's no wishing it was better. Here's your better, and it is good. Like, I really enjoyed this episode. I can't say it enough. I'm sorry, I
Well,
really did.
even the fight, like in most of the episodes, the fights for me, I mean, they're they take up most of the episode most of the time. But in this episode, while it was still a significant portion, I felt like everything that led up to the fight made it made like the tension even higher, because there was a lot more story backing it up. In movies like there's the Michael Bay style of movie where,
Uh,
or storytelling, like for action shows or for action movies, where the story is only there to serve the action. You have story to get you from one action piece to the next action piece. Whereas
that's
with other action movies that maybe have a little bit more story, uh, the action is there to link story to story. So you've got story that leads you to an action scene, but then that action is happening to get you to the next bit of the story, not the other way around, not the
right.
story being there to get you to the next bit of action. And I feel like that's what this episode did, was it set up all the story to make the action scene like really stand out and have a reason for existing.
It was the fight choreography during that whole bar scene or saloon scene was great. I loved it. Him and they used the space. They immediately jumped onto the bar, which you have to do
Oh yeah, and
if you're doing
swinging off the
any
chandelier.
Western moment. Yeah, I have to jump on. I have to jump on the bar, and I have to kick the drinks off, and I have to either jump over it and shoot and blah blah. But this, since we're not using guns, we're using swords. They still did well. Jump on the bar, knock some things over. There's a chandelier. I have to use it. There's all these other things like part of set pieces that have to be utilized in this type of scene, and they did that and still added more on. I can't stop ranting and raving about this episode.
I want to talk to Christopher Cam and Lee about this because I want to know I don't know if he was the guy
Under the cloak,
under the cloak that was fighting for most of the time because I want to know
right?
how hard it was for him, if it was him, how hard it was to move and do all of those various movements with that cloak on.
I don't think it was him because originally when he put on the cloak, we just saw him put the robe portion, the cowl over his head,
Right,
but
right.
we didn't see him pull up a mask like as we're all doing
Yeah,
now.
right.
Put
Well,
like like a
and
corona mask over his face.
that that's why I wasn't sure at first whether or not that was American footage or Japanese footage because I figured if it was American footage, they would at least would have shown like a shadow of his face.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
where,
instead it was the corona mask he had on instead, and I was like, oh, okay. And that's why I immediately was like, oh, it is American footage. The mask is over his face, so that's not Chris. That's what I said. Oh, that's not Chris.
yeah, I
And then
don't.
later,
Yeah, so
boom, here goes
that's
Chris.
why I don't think it was either. But we'll have to have Joe reach out and talk to him, or maybe
Yeah,
Joe knows one way or the other.
just hit him up on Instagram. He knows who you are. He'll
Yeah,
apply to
yeah. So
you.
okay, so I'm gonna go through notes on this episode. But while I'm
Yeah,
going through the notes, I'd like you guys in the chat to tell us what your ratings for this episode were. And I guess you might as well think about that as well, Daniel.
oh yeah, I'm thinking about it already.
All right. So notes for this episode. I noticed this as soon as we were watching. The first one they've got listed here. TJ says that he and Cassie are going to go check out a planet in the Dagobah system, which obviously is where Yoda is from.
Yes, I
So
was
that
like, man, they have said the Dagobah system so many times on the show already, but
yeah,
they
yeah,
will make
yeah.
sure they dropped it for us here. Yeah.
That was one of the few. Well, actually, that I think that was the only like explicit reference to something else that I saw that I recognized in this episode. Obviously, like like we were talking about, there was the cantina scene, but that wasn't like a direct reference to something. It was just like, hey, here's a thing.
Yeah, true. True.
Let's see. Note number 2. Among the characters seen on Onyx are okay. So here's the list: Quantrons, Tenga warriors. One of them was holding the pike weapon of a gatekeeper from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. Octo Phantom, Sinister Simeon, who was the guy that you were talking about with the
Yep.
dreadlocks.
The white dreads or whatever.
Batarax, Snow Monster, Discordia's dress form, Marvo the Meanie. I don't know who Marvo the Meanie is. I'm gonna have to look him up. Just because
Yeah.
I like that name. It's like I really
Like
want.
the name.
I mean, that's like if they had a villain whose name was Debbie Downer. Marvo the Meanie. Psycho Yellow's monster form, a Chromite,
Oh,
a Cog, a Z Putty, Coralizer, Punch a Bunch, Stag Beetle, an alien with the head of Varox, uh, an unused Mega Ranger monster called Cicada Nazir, or Cicada Nazir, an unnamed white smudgy monster from Alien Rangers of Aquitar, a monster from Beetleborgs called Stego Dreg, who was the bartender, Terra Dreg, Terror Bear, which that's I just like that name too. I don't know why.
that's probably the worst one and the best one at the same time.
Triple Saurus Rex, Bee Fighter Kabuto Monster Bay Area, referred to
Wow.
as Aunt Ant, and used in Beetleborg's Metallics. A,
Oh
mon-
wow.
a monster that resembles Beetleborg's monster Hammerhands with normal hands, and a maggot from Masked Rider. That's a lot of creatures.
That is a lot. So they just had like, oh hey, what do we have in the prop house right now? All right, how many extras do we have here? One, two, three. All right, everyone pick a suit. Let's get
Right,
out
right,
there.
yeah,
Because
and like some of them, they were
Psycho
like,
Ranger
okay,
was
we have this head and this suit body, so let's put those together. We don't have the hands for
right.
this guy. It doesn't matter.
But my thing is, out of all the ones that you mentioned, the Psycho Yellow. I'm like, whoa, whoa, we haven't even seen the Psycho Rangers yet. Like they're
Yeah,
coming up, and I'm like, so I'm shocked that Ranger fans are like up in arms about like, why would you do that? You're ruining everything. But no one said anything.
yeah.
No one said anything like, how dare you? Guess what? People didn't notice.
Like, I mean, it was the monster form, so I don't know.
Oh, true, true,
So let's
true.
see.
I don't know. We have some Eagle Eye fans that would have been like, hey, wait a minute.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Let's see what's next. Andros learns in this episode that it was Darkonda who kidnapped his sister Corone. That's obvious if you watch the episode because that's a significant story point. The flashback of Corone and Andros playing and Darkonda kidnapping her wouldn't appear until the episode Facing the Past and Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Huh. I don't quite understand that one.
Yeah, I don't. Okay.
We didn't see a flashback, right?
We did see a flashback, but we never saw who actually kidnapped her. We
Yeah.
had a flashback
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
playing with it, and that's it.
Huh. I don't know. So maybe the flashback in Facing the Past, we actually see Darkonda kidnapping her in that flashback. Like maybe it's a longer scene, and we didn't get the whole thing.
Oh,
Maybe
okay, yeah,
I don't know.
that
That's
makes
the only thing that kind of makes sense there.
yeah,
And then Ecliptor is shown to have survived despite being near death in the previous episode.
yeah, that's right. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden, even though he was like, "Oh, I'm halfway
Which
dead," but we
I
knew he was gonna be fine.
right, but again, that seems less like a note because obviously he's there in the episode. So
Yeah, I don't understand.
some of these notes are kind of weird.
Sometimes people are just like, "I just want to write something."
Yeah, here's the thing. Like I feel like I could add to it, just be like, all 5 of the Power Rangers appeared in this episode. Okay,
No, dude, you know
that's
what? That note taking is really annoying, but it really, and I'm going to say this, it reminds me of my mother when she takes a picture of something that I'm literally there for, and then sends it to me and says, "Oh, look how great!" And I'm like, I'm standing right next to you. Like, why? I don't need this picture. Like, why?
yeah.
Why?
Why are you sending this to me?
Like I have my daughter over, and I also have my daughter's dog, right? And my mom has her dog too. So oh, let's go and make sure that they meet and see each other, and everything like that. And they're running around and everything like that. So my mom tried to sneak a picture, take a video, and then she sends me the picture, and the video, and I'm like, I had my phone out too, so you knew I was. What I'm not going to compare yours to mine. What's the point? Like that's literally what just happened with those notes.
You should start sending her like grades on her composition and picture taking ability.
That would be genius. I'm like, this one, you really should have waited a little bit longer to take this picture. Slightly blurred, not a fan. Uh, I would
I
probably
would I would I would pay
get,
you. I would pay you to do that.
Yeah, no, dude. You'd pay for me. You pay for me to do that. And she goes, why? Why would you do this to me? Oh,
But
my life ruined.
we would need your mom's reactions to all of that too.
Oh, that would be so good. She'd just be so mad and hurt. And it's like, this is great. Let's get this on camera.
All right, errors. The footage of Corone's kidnapping was altered, making it clear that Darkonda was the one responsible.
Yes. Makes sense.
That does it? The footage of Corone's kidnapping was altered, making it clear that Darkonda was the one responsible. How was it altered?
Oh, so maybe originally it probably took him out of the footage. Like, it was cut so we didn't see who grabbed her. It was cut so we didn't see him
Maybe.
Put her into bushes like he did. Boy, and that's also a scary moment. Like the child kidnapping, it's really
Right?
touchy because
Yeah.
one, where were your parents? And I thought you guys are like princesses and whatever like that. Shouldn't there be some royal guard or something like watching you
Nah.
guys? There was nothing, and here they are just playing, and then a guy just walks into the area. There's no security to stop him to get there. He just walks in. Oh, a kid, yoink, and just walks off. And no one did anything. No one
You
did
know.
anything.
Eh,
God,
eh.
I think somebody wanted her to be gone. They were like, ugh,
That's
2 kids are expensive. I can
I
pay.
I I mean I'm not gonna say I wouldn't do that.
Look, if I have twins,
I
I'm
mean
already looking like, eh, if one goes, one goes. Like that's it. I've got to. That's all I'm thinking.
let's see. Errors. Number 2. Psycho Yellow's monster. Wait, we got this in the notes. Psycho Yellow's
Yeah,
monster form was present in the Onyx Tavern, although it is possible that the monster was chosen by Astronema sometime after the events of this episode to become Psycho Yellow's.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
so Astronema is able to pick who the monster form of the Psycho Rangers are.
So Ranger is well because the thing is, the monster form is exactly who they really are,
Right,
and
that's what I thought.
she did something that gave them the ability to turn into the human form.
So
So,
so so it would have been the other way around then. That
well,
the
no,
monster.
that, so the monster already exists.
Right,
So
so
she
she
was
took that monster to become the Psycho Yellow.
yes,
Not
yes.
not not she took that monster to become the Psycho monster, the Psycho Yellow's monster form. It was
Yeah,
right.
yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think I was
Yeah,
just
you're right.
I think that's what it says here. I think I was just reading it backwards.
Yeah, okay.
All
Yeah,
right, all right. So
reading fun. I don't believe in fun.
let's
Yeah,
let's go to the chat. Let's see. So John Boyds gives this episode a 5. I'm going to assume 5 out of 5. Jared Hodges is also giving it a 5 out of 5. Pikachu Master 542 says 4 out of 5 cause the scene in the saloon and the card game scene. Mikey Nerd Talk gives it a 4.5. Uh, and Larry Newbill gives it a 5. Just really quick before we get into our ratings, I want to go back. Matthew Thompson says, I know it was in the middle of and space that they stopped using the actors for the action sequences. It was due to the fact that Brad on VR Troopers broke his leg during a shoot.
dear God.
So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and then Pikachu Master says, I'm assuming this is of Terror Bear, that I imagine it to be a giant bear with a vampire cape and a monocle. Edward Sanchez
Look,
Productions gives it a 5 out of 5, and The Blur gives it a 5. Uh,
oh,
I this is my first 5 out of 5.
whoa.
This episode for me, because now I've got the majority of the season behind us, and I have other things to compare this to now. Uh, this is definitely, I think, the best episode I've seen from the season.
Jeez. That's not bad. That's not bad. For me, going over this, honestly, I do agree with you. This was the best episode of the season. And for me, it's always about story and that the
Mm-hmm.
story works. If it's cohesive with what's happening on the screen. And it definitely is because what's happening on the screen is a giant toy sale or toy pitch and it's action. Those things worked cohesively with what was happening in the story in every way. It answered things and built up our characters and gave them more depth. So I love this episode. It's something different from what we used to expect when it comes to Power Rangers, and that's what's great. Shake it up, rattle some cages. So that's exactly what happened. I love it. Give it a 5.
All right. So I mean, and this is I think this is the first episode that I've seen here where I haven't seen anything under a 4.
Oh, dang, this is good.
Hyper Ryan also gives it a 5. So everyone all over really enjoyed this episode. So I feel
There
good
you go.
now about the fact that I enjoyed it and that I didn't have to tear it down.
Yes, yes, because the next episode, boy, oh boy.
So we're gonna kind of speed through this next episode.
Yes,
We're
that was
almost at
pretty
we're almost at the 40-minute mark, and we've got a wrestling show that's coming up later tonight too. So I'm running that for us. So I'm gonna have to prep for that, which that'll be coming up at eight.
interesting.
Sorry, I think I
Go
cut you off.
ahead. Speak
Oh,
about the show.
so the wrestling show is called our new wrestling show. Uh, is called the Illuminerdi's World Order. Uh, we have our hosts who are Giandra LaBeouf. It's
Yes.
spelled just like Shia. Who you can find her on Twitter. She has been covering wrestling for a long time now. And Nathan Haskell is the other host. But tonight we also have special guest Mark Henry.
Uh-uh.
So this
We have to say this right. We have to say this right. Hold on. I'm
all
gonna
right,
get
all
into
right.
my
Go for
wrestling.
it. Go
I'm
for it.
gonna get my
I'm
wrestling.
not a wrestling guy, so
I'm gonna channel Mike. I'm gonna channel my Rome here. If he was sitting at the commentators table. Tonight is going to be amazing because besides it being the premiere of this episode, we are going to have Hall of Famer, WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry. That's right, the world's strongest man will be there with them going over WrestleMania. If you guys are wrestling fans, or maybe you thought about being a wrestling fan, tonight is the time to watch. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be a slobber knocker on epic proportion. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, baby.
wait. I'm 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Sunday. You'll pay for the whole seat, but you'll only use the edge.
oh my god! Bravo! Bravo! I love that phrase. I am going to use for a lot of things now. You'll pay for the whole seat, but it doesn't matter because you're only gonna use the edge.
That was
Like that's genius.
growing up. Monster truck rallies. Like every time there'd be a commercial for a monster truck rally, that was always the go-to line. Like it was always. I died laughing every time I saw it. Ryan is asking if there's going to be a Twitch stream tonight. I don't think there is, just because of
Mhm.
the this is our premiere episode of the wrestling show, so it's probably going to go a little long. And since I'm running it, that means that I'm not going to be free to start Twitch probably until like 10 o'clock our
Yeah,
time.
we want a proper lead in for everything that's happening with the wrestling show. This is big for us, and it's something that we want to make sure that we give to you guys the best possible way. That's why we're running over the second part of this Power Ranger show just a little bit quicker, so we can probably even end it before we hit the next hour, so we can get ready to make sure we give you the best quality programming you'll experience. So that's
So
why.
yeah, so because of that, I mean, if the show ends up ending earlier, maybe I'll hop on. But if not, I'll be hopping onto Twitch tomorrow, midday. I don't think I have anything for my Monday to Friday. So I've got like the entire afternoon free. I don't know what I'm gonna be playing. So if you guys have any ideas, I was looking at maybe buying Borderlands 3 or Red Dead Redemption 2, or if I could find some other people who are free that want to play. I've got StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3 Reforged, or I could hop into like DC Universe Online, make a character on there. There's all kinds of things I can do.
Nothing's the universe line.
I'll post a poll on in the Illuminari's inner circle later tonight, so we can try and figure out what I will be playing tomorrow. But getting
Yeah.
back to Power Rangers in Space episode 17. This episode was not great.
No, being
It
really quick about the episode, giant toy sale. We had action, but the action was not impressive. That's it.
I mean, it was fine. Like I like I L doesn't like the new Zord. I actually kind of like it.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, it feels different. I think because like all the different components that come together, like there's a spaceship, there's a robot, there's a missile, there was like another spaceship, like there was like a space shuttle spaceship, but then there was also like a spaceship looking spaceship too.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
I think all the individual parts look kind of cool. I'm not so sure about the functionality of the missile as a Zord by itself, unless
Well,
that
it's
what
not a.
unless it's not by
It's
itself
the
and it was
rocket.
just
It's the rocket from like when space shuttles travel. It's the rocket that just like burns the fuel to get it to the stratosphere, and then it detaches and floats away, and
yeah
it's
yeah
just
yeah. It was
crap.
just,
And
that piece was just weird. But
it's weird, but you know what it's there for. It's there for it's replacing the sword
yeah,
when it becomes the Mega Zord. Now there's no sword. It's just all right. We're fighting. Call in the rocket. Now shoot that
but
rocket.
you know I wasn't gonna bring this up. I'm gonna do it now anyway. You
Do
you
it.
you've seen Orgasmo?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Please.
during this fight scene, I was just waiting for the Megazord to yell "Cock Rocket" right before it went off.
No,
Like
okay. Honestly, if there ever was a moment where you're watching something and you're like, oh, phallic symbol,
that
that's
was
it
it.
right there.
Yeah.
Because usually the sword does represent the phallic symbol. Usually that's the case. Now they're like, we're not pulling any punches. Just put the cock rocket on, and that's exactly what it was.
Yeah,
So
and
I mean, I
this
get it.
episode, like to me, this whole episode just felt like one. It was almost like an episode of Dragon Ball Z, where it's just the fight. Like there's no story, there's nothing else happening. It's just oh hey look, Goku made it to Super Saiyan level 394. Now he's kicking Vegeta's ass again. Like
That's exactly
it's,
it.
it's
That's exactly it. Oh, somehow he had an amazing power up. And it was like, okay, so we find out that these key cards were key cards to apparently a silo. And in that silo, the other key cards all worked for the Zords.
right. So
And it
it's
was like,
the
oh, wow.
Mega Voyager.
Yeah, the Mega Voyager. So Zordon, once again, always being the Zordon he is, has something that he doesn't want to tell anyone that's just a secret just in case. So Zordon always has an option and he says to himself, hey, everyone's going to lose, everyone's going to die. I need to have a backup plan.
But I mean, to be fair, the Rangers are kind of idiots. They're all just kids. If Zordon was like, hey, here's like an Iron Man gallery of Zords for you to use, they would probably just go pick a sword at once at random and try and build like this Frankenstein Megazord that would just like fall apart and blow up on itself.
It's true because he did give them the gallery. And I'm picking the original Megazord one. I'm picking a Dino one. I'm picking a future one. I'm picking a spaceship. Like now, let's bring it all together, guys. You all chose the heads. It doesn't
Yeah,
work, and they're like, "That's our heads," and it's just like
it's
it
gonna
doesn't
be
work.
like yeah, it's all gonna be they're all gonna come together and it's gonna look like that cake that Don Cheadle made on the SNL Great American Bake Off show.
Kill me. Oh, or the Eddie Murphy one where it was like, "Oh no, Josh," and he's like, "What's wrong?" "Oh, it's using your grandmother's voice. It's dragging you to hell." Like it's literally that.
those
So yeah, you know what?
those two
Atrocity.
sketches. If you guys haven't seen the Don Cheadle episode of Saturday Night Live or the Eddie Murphy episode of Saturday Night Live, at least just watch the baking competition show sketch for both. They
Yes,
were
yes.
amazing,
And
amazing.
me, I'm a fan of Nailed It, so I watch Nailed It, and I always reference it because it's like there are moments where they're like, "And now show us your cake," and it's like, "Oh yeah, I'm expecting that cake to literally grab a gun and shoot itself." Like it's that bad.
All
So
right.
yeah, those sketches are genius. Watch them. But moving on.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump right into the notes. You guys are already starting to give us your ratings there in the chat, so go ahead and continue with that. Just get ready to be very disappointed by mine.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Zords that appeared in this episode: the Astro Megazord, the Delta Megazord, the Astro Delta Megazord, and the Mega Voyager. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Notes. Oh, before I get to the notes, this was also something that bugged me, and this is the thing that happens in like tons of like sci-fi shows, like with like spaceships and like different like machines and vehicles and stuff. Someone says, we're running out of fuel. Open the reserve tank. Well, why wasn't the fucking reserve tank part of the whole thing? Like, what's the point of having some of it sectioned off? Like,
No
unless
sense.
like if it's in a completely separate compartment in case the main fuel compartment blows, that makes sense. But
But
that's never explained whether that's actually the thing or not. So I just have to assume that that is.
yeah,
But while I don't have a problem like being like filling that kind of shit in my head, I'd like just once for someone to be like, okay, we have to reroute power from like whatever to whatever. We need to reroute power from the reserve tank to this or from the reserve tank to that, just to make it clear that it's not just like, all right, well we actually have enough power to get us home. It's just in the reserve tank. So anyway,
uh,
anyway, it's just a random pet peeve of mine. Notes: the opening titles are extended by approximately 15 seconds, starting with this episode. I don't know why. That just takes away time from whatever story they could have had.
that could
But
be the case. They're just like, look, just stall, man. I don't know what we got. Just stall.
maybe the only explanation that I can really come up with that would make sense is that maybe the networks decided they were going to shorten the commercial breaks after they had finished filming everything, so they needed to film 15 seconds, or they needed to extend the intro by 15 seconds because they had already filmed the episodes and they just needed to fill that now empty time slot. So I'll have to go back and look at the episode times to see if the episodes are 15 seconds longer as well, or if they're about the same time. Because
Makes sense.
that's the only thing that I can think of. Darkonda is destroyed for the first time in this episode. I'm not sure how. Like, is he destroyed, or is he coming back?
No.
Because if he's
Just
coming back, then he wasn't destroyed.
yeah, it's the first time he explodes
Yeah. Okay.
during an episode.
The Mega Voyager is the first Megazord to lack the word Zord in its name. It's also the first Megazord to retain its Sentai counterpart's name. The reason for this is that the name is clearly shown in the cockpit. This is why I was saying while we were watching the episode, on also not only in the cockpit but on the sides of the Zords, it says Mega VS.
Oh
So
yeah, you did. Yeah,
so obviously the Mega is Mega, the V stands for Voyager, but I don't know what the S stands for.
maybe it's the backwards 5, and it
Maybe,
just kind
or like
of. I
Sentai,
don't know.
Mega Voyager
It could
Sentai.
be.
I don't know.
Could be.
Or the V could also, I guess, stand for vehicle, Mega Vehicle. So I don't know if anyone knows what the S stands for, or what like officially what MEGA VS means. Let us know.
I don't know.
Errors in this episode. Making it is the first one. Um, Next, the Astro Delta Megazord briefly turned into the Astro Megazord upon getting up at the beginning of the episode, with both Andros and Ashley disappearing from the cockpit in different shots. That sounds like a continuity problem. Like they
Sounds like an error.
yeah,
Are we
like
errors right now? Or notes?
that's an error.
Okay.
So it sounds like they Frankenstein a couple of different scenes together to get what they needed out of it and fucked up what they were using.
Exactly.
Just before the Rangers form the Mega Voyager, Cassie says she's found something called the transformation control. The control actually shown is labeled the docking lever. Uh, this was also something that was very bizarre to me because did they not think that these Zords combined to form a bigger Megazord?
I don't know.
Like they've never pointed out any of the other Zords like transformation control like device. So I don't know why
Yeah,
I don't know why that was necessary to do here because we've always just assumed that that was the thing that existed.
it's just an auto function.
When the Astro Delta Megazord is thrown to the ground by Mutantress, you can clearly see Japanese signs on the building. I mean, I feel like we've seen Japanese stuff a lot before.
I've seen it before. It doesn't matter.
So let's go to the chat for their scores. Hyper Ryan gives it a 4. Jared Hodges gives it a 3. The Blur gives it a 3. Mikey Nerdtalk gives it a 3. And that this is one of his top 3 Zords as well. Edward Sanchez gives it a 4, and says, "By the way, I like the Mega Voyage and have no problems with it." So he liked the episode, just not enough to give it a
Good.
5.
So you're gonna have a fight with Elle when she comes back. I'm just letting you know that now.
Pikachu Master gives it a 3, and all he remembers is the Zord fight, and the monster gets turned to Sparkles. Plus his hopes for it is very low. John Boys gives it a 4. The Blur says that Darkonda is like a cat. He's got many lives. And let's see. Honorable Kung Lao says Dino Charge always said monster extinct after the Megazord battle, but then they always come back.
Oh yeah, I get it. Extinct because they're dinosaurs.
Wah wah.
Yeah. Nah.
So Daniel, what's your score?
All right. Well, I'm so glad to hear that there are such high scores compared to what I thought this episode deserved, because this episode definitely gets a 1 from me. I don't even need to explain why.
Wow, that's even lower than what I was gonna give it.
I'm sorry. You saw the episode. There was nothing that happened. It was a lot of fighting. I only gave it a 1 because I enjoyed the pyrotechnics on the moon. That was it.
See, I'm giving it a 2 just because I actually like the Megazord. I liked the introduction to it. But that was like the only thing that I liked in the episode was seeing the Megazord like actually come out.
Oh, and that was it.
Yeah, that was basically it. The rest of this episode, I feel like it could have been like since this was like a 4-parter, I feel like they could have adjusted the times, on the last 3, and it could have just been a 3-parter. Like 90% of this episode wasn't necessary in my opinion.
Pretty much like how The Matrix could have only been 2 movies and we would have been fine. We didn't need to.
Exactly. Or The Hobbit.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So, going back to the chat really quick, Ryan posted waiting symbols. I don't know what those are. They look like, like when you're waiting for something to load. And it's just like 3 circles that are. That's what his message looks like. I don't know what that means.
Just ellipses, like, is that it? Like,
I don't know.
3 dots.
But Ryan, earlier, I just want to touch on this really quick. Ryan said that a lot of people on Twitch right now are playing Animal Crossing. I do want to play Animal Crossing. I don't have a Switch. I don't know if I'll be able to get one this week. Just because of everything going on. If I can get one this week, if I can figure out how to do it and I can swing it, I will start playing Animal Crossing, just because I know that's a huge thing right now, and it does seem like it's fun, at least. But my concern with that is that it'll be fun for me for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm done with it, and then I'll just have a Switch sitting here on my desk, and it'll be useless.
Well, I mean, we've given our ratings. We've told people how we feel about it. We've talked about the episodes. I'm losing daylight, and I think we're good, because I'm looking like I need to turn on a light.
Yeah, I see it like starting to blink on and off.
Yeah. So,
really quick before we go, Ryan is asking if we're going to do Lost Galaxy next after Space. I believe that is the next season after this. So, yeah.
Definitely.
All right, so that's gonna do it for us for this week. Elle should be back with us next week to talk about episodes 18 and 19. I believe we have a special guest coming up for episode 20. That should be fun. We will announce that as soon as I have absolute confirmation on it. And if you are a fan of WWE and wrestling in general, make sure to catch us at 8 o'clock back here on YouTube for the Illuminerdi's World Order Wrestling premiering tonight at 8 on YouTube.
It'll be great, guys. World famous. I mean, this is going to be huge. I don't know if you guys are even paying attention to it, but once again, we're going to have WWE's very own Mark Henry, the world's strongest man. He's a Hall of Famer, guys. Time to make sure you
Isn't he
watch
like
it.
also an Olympic bodybuilder?
Yeah, and that's why he got the title of World's Strongest Man. He had the world title for how much he lifted, and then after that he went into wrestling. So literally, the World's Strongest Man, World WWE and Hall of Famer Mark Henry.
Do they?
So
I'm going off. Do they still do like the strongman competitions, like with people like running with the logs when they're holding them, or like pulling refrigerators or trucks or any of that kind of stuff?
I don't know. I know they do the Giant Man thing in like Norway.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know
Because like
one. I
I
don't know.
remember I remember like just like watching some of these competitions with like people like carrying refrigerators on their back up a hill and just like all this like random crazy shit. And I don't know if they do that anymore, but I would love to see that kind of stuff again with some of these guys.
Right now, dude, with the whole quarantine, I'm watching ridiculous things and counting them as sport. Like literally, I'm like watching bowling and responding and reacting like it's NBA. Like like I'm doing it for anything.
You should watch
So I would love to see it.
on Netflix. You should watch a show really quick before we take off. Rust to Riches. I watched the first season, and it's just like a fun like car rebuilding show.
Yeah.
It's like a house flipping show, but with cars.
Oh, okay. I'm in.
So
I'm in.
it's really dope. I'm also watching. I just started watching Tales from the Loop on Amazon. That's a sci-fi show. So that we'll see. Maybe I'll start talking about that on something eventually too. Anyway, again, that's gonna do it for us. Tune in about an hour for the wrestling show. You can find the event for it already up on the thing. If you haven't clicked the bell to activate notifications for us, I don't know what you're waiting for. Just do it. Um,
Sure.
and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Bye.